Let's begin our editing journey at the beginning by launching the software. So the first thing that you probably will see is the Start screen. But it's possible that you may see a different screen called the Welcome screen if you're on a trial version or if this is the very first time that you've launched the software. Now to show you this, I'm going to come up to Help and Welcome screen. You can access the Welcome screen at any time by going to the Help menu. So this is what you might see, again, if you're on the trial version or the very first version that you launch. And at the very end of this movie, I will go over some of the features of the Welcome screen. But for now, I'm going to skip and let's talk about the Start screen. Now, if you are on the Recent tab here, you can see that this is where you can access recently opened projects. Of course, if this is your very first time launching the software, you won't have anything here. Now, there are two other tabs, CC Files, where you can access shared files and assets that you can use across multiple Creative Cloud applications, and Sync Settings, where you can log in under your Adobe ID and sync your personal user settings. We'll talk a bit more about these very handy Creative Cloud capabilities a little later in the course, but I want to start basic here, so I'm going to come back to Recent. All right, so let's talk about accessing new and existing projects. You can either work in standalone projects, new project or open project, or you can collaborate with others in team projects, new team project and open team project. As of this recording, team projects are available for Creative Cloud for Teams users as well as Creative Cloud Enterprise users. So as most people taking this course are likely on individual or education plans, we won't be discussing these. So let's come back up here. Now first, I just want to show you what happens when we create a new project so that we can see what everything looks like from scratch. So I'm going to choose New Project, and here's a dialog box where I need to make some choices. First of all, I just need to name it. I don't want to leave it named untitled, so I'm going to call it Topa Demo. And then here I choose my project location. Looks like it's going exactly where I want it to go for now, but if I wanted to redirect, I would just go to my Browse button and then browse accordingly. Okay, so again, I want it to go in that project folder where my main Topa project is located. We'll put it right beside that. And then this is a basics course, so I'm not going to go over absolutely everything, but I just want to briefly tell you what some of these things are. Here under the General tab, you can direct Premiere Pro to use your graphics card to help achieve real-time performance when playing back your video and effects. So if you have this, choose GPU acceleration. You want to make sure to have that selected. The video, audio, and capture format options, I'm going to leave alone for now. I'm going to come over to Scratch Disks, and this is where I set the location that I want to store new media that I create during the editing process. This includes things like video and audio that you capture if you're ingesting anything from tape or disk, your video and audio preview files, which are temporary render files that are sometimes necessary for real-time playback, your project autosave location, which is where your project backups go, which can be very useful in the case of a crash or project corruption. And then there's also the folder for Creative Cloud libraries, which allow you to access commonly used assets across many different Creative Cloud applications. And then the location for your motion graphic templates, which are templates that you can create in After Effects and then use in Premiere Pro. It's up to you where you store each of these items. Just be aware of what you choose. I might recommend to keep your project autosaves in a different location than your project, though. That's because if the drive that you keep your project on crashes, for example, then at least your autosaves will be safe in another location. There is also an Ingest Settings tab, and this gives you the option to automatically ingest media in the background as you edit. In a number of ways. You can copy media, transcode, create proxies, or copy and create proxies. It's a bit too much to go into what all of this means right now, but we'll touch on this a bit in Chapter 3, okay? So I'm going to leave ingest off for now. So I'm going to click OK, and the project opens. All right, so right now I am in the editing workspace, which is this particular configuration of windows and tools, which we'll learn about in the next movie. You can see here that editing is highlighted. If I wanted to go to the assembly workspace, I could click over here, and then I have a different configuration of windows and tools, okay? So we'll be going back and forth between these various workspaces, but we're going to start off in editing, so just make sure that yours looks like mine. If for some reason your windows don't look like this, I'll go ahead and mess things up a little bit. You can always just come back up to Window and then Workspaces and then reset to saved layout, and it'll reset things for you. All right, so everything is very empty, but this was just to show you how to create a brand new project from scratch. Now let's go ahead and close this and talk about how to open an already existing project. So I'm going to go to File and then Close Project, Shift-Command-W or Shift-Control-W on a PC, and that pops me back out to the Start screen. All right, so as you can see, the project that I just created is now under Recent Projects, Topa Topa Demo. But I want to access my main Topa Topa project. It happens to be right here under Recent Projects, but if you haven't opened it yet, you simply come to Open Project and then navigate to it. So I know that it's in my Exercise Files folder, Project, and there it is. That's my main Topa Topa project. I'll go ahead and click on that and Open. Okay, so I am inside my main Topa Topa project. Here are all of the assets, and in the next movie, we're going to learn about what everything is inside the Premiere Pro environment. Before I get to that, though, I said earlier that I'd briefly cover some features of the Welcome screen. So again, I access that by coming up to Help and then Welcome screen. Okay, so you don't actually have to access this in the beginning from the Start screen. You can access that even when you have another Premiere Pro project open. All right, so here are a number of resources, and I briefly want to cover these. If I want to access a project with media to practice with, I can choose Explore, okay? And this is going to open up a project called Going Home, all right? And here are all of my assets over here in the project pane, and I have a timeline loaded with a sequence. So if you're a newbie and you need to start out with a project, maybe you don't have access to the exercise files provided with this course, this can be a good place to go. I'm going to go back to my welcome screen. There are a couple of more resources here that I just want to briefly call out. This watch tile launches a web page and teaches you some of the main editing techniques using the footage from this Going Home project. And then finally, there's a Get Started tile, and that allows you to set up a project with your own media. Okay, so it allows you to select clips, and it actually builds a sequence for you from those clips. And so if you're a total newbie and need help getting started with a brand new project, this might be useful to you. I'm going to skip that for now, though, and we'll go ahead and close our Getting Started project. And here we are back at our Start screen. All right, so we've got a good idea now on how to launch a Premiere Pro project from scratch or how to access an existing project. Now let's go ahead and take a look inside the software.